Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit's Homebrew. Joining me today is Brent from Langeministudio, and Chase, who is better known as Kilk. Last session.
That's right in front of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like part of it's you guys got onto the ship.
Yeah, the
found out that
Asgardian
it basically
skiff,
has a cloaking device, a little homage.
We
to
got our buddy
Star
Gil
Trek.
back. Well, we got Toy Bar's buddy Gil back.
Found out that basically, he's been raised 2 or 3 times. I think we actually did the math. It was like 2.5, but
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
And every time it's been because of an aberration. The first time the aberration acid breathed and melted him.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And then he turned into the light elf.
Yeah.
And then the next time he died, it was because
Silvera nuked him with a chain lightning.
Yeah, the chain lightning hit him, but like.
Oh, but he had the
aberrations.
Yeah, because he was dominated by the beholder, and he had the sword on him that made him look like a mind flayer.
So, like, we've talked about it before on the podcast. I'll talk about it before, why I'm blue in the face about this setting is like, and I hope you guys carry on the same type of thing or whatever when you DM of like, magic used so much usually comes with some sort of price.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And there are, I think it might be in the DMG or maybe it's just online, like or maybe it's Critical Role used it to like side effects to raises to add a little more flavor. Like, oh, you raised the person, but guess what? Another soul came back with him. Now they got 2 souls.
Oh yeah, they could have fun stuff like that.
Oh yeah, who came back? Yeah.
Mine was, I can't remember where I got it, unfortunately. I'd give the person actual credit because it was not my idea. I blatantly stole it from whoever, and so I apologize to whoever came with it, but he had resurrection dementia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Summoning sickness, yeah. If we would pull the Magic the Gathering term.
And I just got done watching, and I was channeling the character Robert from Grace and Frankie on Netflix. At the last season, Robert basically gets dementia. Like he comes out to his husband and hey, the girls are here or whatever. And then he goes to the back room or what. And then the girls start talking to his husband Saul, like, why are you being so mean to our dad? You're like interrupting him while he's talking and all that. And he goes, I'm trying to protect him. Before he embarrasses himself because he isn't your dad.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to hide. Is basically losing it. And then about 2 minutes later, Robert comes back out, just like, "Oh, girls, when did you guys arrive?"
Yeah. Like, wait. Yeah.
They're like, "Oh no."
Yeah. Oh my God.
And they just basically just start tearing up, and it's a very emotional scene. So that's kind of like what I was trying to channel, just like, he's still being affected by that wish of like, and he's now a macaw. So he's probably not fully
a
croca.
So, yeah.
I felt like I was doing a C+ impression of being a macaw croca.
You did a fantastic
No, I thought you did
job
good. With the head bob and everything. No, you did good, man. I thought you did good.
It was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I knew the thing is when you started doing it, I knew exactly what you were doing.
I did too.
Yeah, you were great.
And
but
as
just
a
like
DM and as players, like
if
we immediately realize what's happening, it's always good.
It's perfect. Yeah.
But then he's like, Toy Bar, and then he did Toy Bar's friend.
Toy Bar friend.
Toy Bar's friend, yeah.
Do you know who I am? Yeah, Toy Bar's friend.
Like, dang it.
Yeah, because we're trying to figure out if he still looked at the party in a negative light versus
it's now more just like a neutral light. It's like,
it's like, hey, I just met you. Yeah.
You're my friend's friend. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're cool. Yeah.
If Toy Bar says you're cool, yeah.
Then, yeah. Until you, punch me or hit me with chain lightning, and then we have a problem.
And then he'd ask, do you want food? And he'd come bring food, and then he'd give you food and say, do you want some more food? Or do you want, and he didn't even ask more food. Do you want food? I'll go get you some food.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, we got enough.
Our friend want food?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you just served me a plate. I'm already holding it in front of you.
Yeah, it's I've already got it. You already gave me this, and it's full of grubs and seeds.
Yeah, and then we kind of figured it out because, we went through, we told him the whole story, and then, immediately after, he just reverted right back, and I was like, is this like the 41st Dates?
Yeah, exactly.
Movie?
Oh.
And then we're like, oh no, and then
That's
we started realizing,
movie.
which is really cool, right? It's
because,
and then I believe it might have been Vicky playing as Rama, I want to figure out what's wrong, and I either had to roll, is there something I can roll to figure out what's wrong? And I gotta give her props on that one. She didn't just try and ask me blatantly, what's going on with this character. She's she wanted to figure out through character means.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
And
So,
so-
mechanically, is there a way that Rama can figure something out? Like, that was
And
really
I
good.
think I
Yeah.
told her just like I need you to make either an intelligence check or an arcana, and she rolled and she got it, and I'm like, he has basically magical dementia from being raised a
Yeah.
couple of times too much.
And so the idea of having and we talk about the setting all the time, and when we're not even when we're not sitting here and not playing.
Yeah, when we're on like on our phones and stuff. Yeah.
So I feel like there's a part of our group that kind of misses out sometimes on the unknowns.
yeah.
Because we're always talking about it, right? We're always talking about the setting. And I was thinking about this the other day of rather than telling the players, hey, this is what's happening, now you have to figure out how your character would figure it out. Just not. Just being like, yeah, this is how he's acting. And then if they come up with the idea organically that this is what's wrong with him, right? It takes the metagaming out of the character as the DM.
True.
And it allows like a space for the characters to really try to think, what is going on here? And even as a player, like like, what is going on? Like, is this that? Which you can just metagame as our characters talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
What's
Yeah.
going on with this?
It's like, wait, what's going on with this guy? Yeah.
And then it gives us the ability, just like Vicky did, where they were like, hey, can I roll this to see if I can figure
Because
that out?
I don't think she legitimately she had an idea of there is something wrong.
Yeah, there is something wrong. Yeah, this is not normal. There is something going on with him.
He went back to trying to offer us food, 5 minutes after he gave us all
Yeah.
food.
And I think that kind of like also harkens back to like our experiences and like our first responder jobs is we've seen people like this. We have seen both the highs and the lows of humanity. Some of us more than others. I will admit that I've seen more of the negative in my
Considering
line.
Considering your line of work,
Yeah, but I've also seen some stuff that really just kind of breaks my heart. To where I've dealt with someone walked up one of my superiors walked up to me and said, hey, we're going to put you to talk with this lady. She's got the mind of a 7-year-old. And I had to talk to her and tell her that she cannot do certain things. And the look on her face just broke my heart. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that, subconsciously we've seen stuff like this to where we know that, hey, this isn't normal behavior.
I worked in the medical field before in a medical setting, and I've seen people that were in this setting. I won't say who or what just because of HIPAA, but the particular person had that mentality of where they were. It was just weird just because of this person's size and age.
Yeah.
And it's just like to see them fully they should probably be over here mentally, but they're actually here because of their size, of their age, and all that.
Oh yeah.
It goes back to on the table when we talk about these things. It goes back to, what do you want your players to know?
Yeah.
Right. And for me, like when I do my DM setting, like if you guys get magic items, I'm not just going to tell you what all these magic items do.
I gotta figure it out.
Like if
I try not to.
If it's a cursed item or something, and
No,
I'll give it
no.
to you, and you take it, you'd be like, oh, this is a +1 longsword, sweet, and you just put it on, and I'll be like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah.
then I'll just keep on moving, and over time, some weird things are gonna happen that involve.
You
whatever
need
that
to start
curse
putting
is.
2 and 2 together.
Yeah, and if you don't, you don't.
The only time cursed items I strictly, just for the sadistic part of my DMing, I will not tell people.
Right.
But let's say the Shield of Surtur, I did go to Brent beforehand. It's like, hey, there is an item coming up. You're more than likely gonna want it. It's like, are you opposed to this? Because I don't want to make you put you in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, and I gotta give you props for that. Yeah, you just want and I was like, the second you told me what I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this. Yeah, that is so cool. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and then but then also you get to know your players, and that's the advantage of having long running campaigns with multiple people over the years that we have played, is that you get to learn what they're cool with. Like you kind of know where that line is. Like, okay, cool, and then if you do end up crossing that line, you're like, oh, okay, cool. You've learned enough that you didn't cross that line hard.
Yeah, and I didn't even think I told you what the item was going to be.
You did
I
not.
just told you. It's like, listen, in the book, there is an item in here that has a demon in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't use demons very often. I don't want to put a demon in an item. I'm thinking because we're going to Muspelheim of putting, and just because he was literally your campaign boss the last campaign, it's like, I'm thinking that Surtur Horcruxed himself into this item.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about carrying around an item with
with
former
a
campaign boss in it?
And I was like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no, obviously major items like that can really change a character's perspective.
And well, then that's when I just made the decision to have Merrick. Like, oh, I know who my patron's gonna be.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
It made it real.
Yeah, it made it real. Yeah.
Easy. But even like good items.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
like for me, like if you, we'll call it the boots of striding, and even if like you got those, you'd be like, oh, those are, you can tell that they're magical boots, and then you roll to see if are these a commonly produced magical boot, right? Because there would be in these things, like there would be boots of striding that are probably mass produced by somebody who sells it at high-end magic stores, so that people would have that. Or is it a more uncommon one that nobody would really know, and you might have to take it to a specialist to be like, it looks like it has some of these things, but that's all I can really figure out, man.
Yeah, it's like I figured out it's got like this spell.
Got some kind of movement speed.
Yeah, it's got this like this school of magic on it or whatever.
Well, yeah, when you're doing, detect magic, that's actually, I think, the flavor of it. I think I learned that that's one of the things I stole from Critical Role that Matt Mercer did. Just like, obviously, the detect magic, it ain't going to tell you what the enchantment is. It's going to tell you the type of enchantment.
Yeah, the school of magic that it comes from.
Yep.
So I stole that for sure. It's like, okay, I like that. So I started writing down what all the schools of magic was.
To the players, now they know it's
like,
necromancy,
yeah.
right?
It's weird that I was going to say necromancy.
This is the school of like awarding.
Yeah, or illusion,
or I think that awarding would be abjuration.
Oh, abjuration, yep.
Yeah.
So it's like it's more than likely possibly a defensive item.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's really cool because now you're like, oh, okay, you now have a hint at what it does so that when you go to use it to try to figure out what it is, if you don't have the identify spell, you can know, okay, I need to make sure I don't cast this on a person because, it's got an evocation spell on it. Right. Oh, okay, this is probably going to be something bad. Don't cast it on a friend. Yeah.
But also, it leaves that door open.
Yeah, it does.
Fun little interactions like, I'm going to use this sword, right? It's a +1 long sword that has some kind of magical enchantment on it. It hasn't done anything bad to me yet. The first time I strike somebody with it, it's actually the D&D equivalent of Inuyasha's brother's sword.
Yeah.
Oh, the Tenseiga? Yeah. Oh, that heals him instead?
It heals him, and you're like, so you just...
Yes.
It didn't do as much damage as you thought it would do.
It didn't do any damage.
He seems more healthy now that you've hit him with the sword.
I'm reminded of
you hit him in like one of the old damage. You see the wound that was caused by your previous ally suddenly healed.
There's a I watched the Venture.
Don't write that down.
Yeah, I watched the Venture brothers when they were out, and there was one episode to where Dr. Venture and everybody was gonna go to this science symposium and they were going to bring his biggest new invention. Well, there was a ninja following this guy around. They follow him around because he's going to steal the invention or whatever. Well, there was like this guard that he was like he was gonna fight. Well, he ended up throwing 2 needles at the guard and hit him in the neck, and he falls over and he's like, good, the guard is out of the way. Well, all of a sudden the guard stands up. Hey, and he pulls the 2 needles out and goes, hey, you took rid of the crick in my neck. I don't want to smoke anymore. He just did acupuncture on the guy. And the ninja just goes, and walks off. I just think of that.
Why we're kind of on the side tangent. One thing I think would be a cool idea. I keep bringing up Critical Role. I'm not like a Critical fanboy or anything, but I do respect the hell out of it.
Yeah.
It's like when we're doing your Svartheim and you're talking about twisting magic on its thing, the one thing that that second campaign of Matt's that really kind of drew me in, because he had Caleb the Wizard in it, who was a very kind of, he wasn't autistic by any means, but he was very savant. He had keen mind and but he had that. I felt like he's a little bit on the spectrum, but maybe not. Don't come after me, Critical Role fans.
Aren't we? The thing is, aren't we all on the spectrum a little bit?
Yeah, we all. Especially
it's a spectrum.
Yeah, it's exactly the spectrum.
Imagine you're casting detect magic on something and you're looking for what school magic it is, and then your DM tells you you don't know what school of magic this is. This isn't one of the 7.
Oh, like you roll like a nat 20, and
Yeah.
like
You're like, what? Well, I will tell you guys that when we played my Muspelheim campaign, you will run into magic that doesn't exist in 5th edition.
Nice.
It's a third-party product that I got, and I'm like, this is amazing. I will be using this.
Kobold Press came out with like void magic and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Which I have on a PDF.
They actually came out with rune magic. Kobold Press did.
There's actually a
where
lot
you can learn the rune, and it's got like different levels in that rune to learn of like special stuff.
Really?
Like, that's crazy.
That's one of the characters that like it's at the bottom of the list. It ain't high, but I've thought about playing a rune priest.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got the skiff. We got Gil back.
We flew over the army of.
Yeah, and then we started. He's like, "Yeah, where are we going?" And I was like, "Oh, we're going to Mount Vidka."
Yeah,
Vedka.
Because we were talking about is there any bombs
VEDKA.
that we can drop? Do like a bombing run over there.
Yeah, we were like, okay, who's got fireball? What? Nobody? Only
this would have been
boy.
a perfect option.
there
For
Just like
demon
boop,
bomb.
boop, boop, boop.
So yeah, you notice obviously there's Xingqi's army that was
Yep.
in the caverns, Gilvikel's sanctum, but there's another battalion heading towards the volcano.
Yeah.
And then you guys kind of figured out why he was probably at the bridge. He was on the move because he figured out where the spark was.
Yeah, and it was a spark. You know, when we started this campaign, we first got to Muspelheim.
Yeah.
His followers that attacked us in the cathedral were looking for
The
flame
creation
of
flame.
the
Yeah,
flame
I
of
was trying to come up
creation.
with like different names of what people would call it.
Would call it, yeah.
Because, I mean, there's different names for like the Holy Grail, or there's
Yeah.
different names for different artifacts throughout our world. Why wouldn't there be for this?
Yeah, and I like how this is tying into that.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that they would still be on the march regardless of what he went off to do, right?
Yeah.
He can still send message while he's
Yep.
in there in the demiplane. And
There's still a third unaccounted brother as well.
yeah, there's a third Xingqi brother. And it really, when we got to this, when we docked,
Mhm.
you know, initially we were talking about, you know, can we throw bombs down at their guys? Like we were looking at them, these are bad guys, right? When in reality, you know, who knows? They could just be the force that was sent over there to secure the volcano. Hey, hold this volcano till I get there. So that was cool. We were able to see it. It also gave us as players perspective of this thing's actually flying.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the first little Asgardian skiff that we got that was basically, you know, a hovercraft from Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, this is a literal ship
Yeah.
that is soaring through the air, hundreds of feet in the air,
Mhm.
and you're just like looking down at them.
And you're invisible, so
Yeah, and we're
nothing's
invisible.
going to attack you. There was a moment before getting to the volcano, though, and I brought it up to because Brent brought it up to me at after the session of like he asked me, you know, he knows I made a certain emphasis, and that was I went and Rama healed Gilvikel. Like
Yeah.
she cast Greater Restoration, and she channeled. I think she did channel Damanjarl, or she channeled somebody and asked for guidance. I can't remember who.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah,
I believe it
she
was
did.
Damanjarl, and I think he said the more than likely thing would be Greater Restoration.
Yeah. Because I think she was like, should I ask Damandral or should she talk to Freya?
Yeah, you and me were talking after the session after they left, and you noticed that I brought a special emphasis on that, and then you asked, you know why?
Yeah.
I'm
Well, yeah.
like,
What's going on? Yeah.
And I go, have you noticed every time she does something completely selfless or completely good, I put special emphasis when she does it in a very divine way because she's on a certain path.
And that would make sense considering what we know of her character, right?
Yeah.
She is the splinter. She's the good side of the goddess of war.
Yeah.
And she is the Kami to the Piccolo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
She is good. She is Fat Boo to Evil Boo.
Yeah.
she's grown, and her power is growing.
Yeah.
Like, she's on par. She's level 15. She is considered by many, like, according to the player's handbook with the tiers, you guys are on levels with demigods now. You guys are like a Chernobog now.
I liked her 14 ability.
Which one's that?
That was the Searing Vengeance.
Yeah.
That's the one where if she drops down, she can come back with an explosion of radiant energy.
Yeah.
And like it like blinds and deals damage to everybody around. 14th level, the radiant energy you channel allows you to resist death. When you have to make a death saving throw at the start of your turn, you can instead spring back to your feet with a burst of radiant energy. You regain hit points equal to half of your hit point maximum. Then you
awesome.
stand up if you so choose. Each creature of your choice within 30 feet takes radiant damage equal to 2d8 plus your charisma modifier and is blinded until the end of
Is
the
that
current
Celestial
turn.
Warlock?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's right.
badass.
Because the other level 14 power I came up with was also like auto up after you hit 0.
Yeah,
and
you didn't want her to have like 2 of them. Yeah, get death free cards.
And I changed. Basically, you choose to turn one particular dice roll once a day into a 20. It's basically no, this is not how the story's going to go.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, I've been thinking, her and I have had this conversation together, is what do you know yet if you become a god?
What you want to be a goddess of?
Yeah, what is your god? And she, she still hasn't really figured it out.
Right? Yeah.
But from what I know of her as a person, there's no way it's going to be anything evil or destructive. Right, that's just not who she is as a person.
No.
And
so I gotta give her credit for that. I mean, I'm a really good person and a really great person in real life, but I do love role playing villains.
Not toot your own horn there, man. Dang.
We're gonna get to it, but when the Valkyrie landed, and before this we were talking about, and she asked me what I would do as her character, and I was like, I would walk up and be like, "Look at me.
Yeah.
Do you know who I am? Do you recognize this face?" And she goes, "Yeah, but you have that confidence, and that's not something that I have."
Yeah, and maybe that's not even something her character has yet.
And it could be. So
well, she could go up there and she'd be like, "Hey, do you answer to Rathgrith? Is she here? Can we talk to her?"
Right.
Not commanding her, but asking her.
And she could even paraphrase and say, "It's just like I say this obviously way more confidently in character than I am."
Yeah, exactly. That's the cool about D&D. Is like
that's what I tried to explain. I was like, you don't have to role play.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, like I get into it where like Toy Bar's doing this, they're going crazy. But I was like, there's a lot of times too where I'm like, I just want to say it in this way.
In our first campaign where I was playing Cade before he came Damanjarl, I did that a couple of times with Nate, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna say something super suave and debonair.
Yeah,
I got an 18, and he's like, oh, okay, all right.
And then I'm like, oh right, but tell me what's
the point?
What's your goal?
Yeah, exactly.
There was a couple times where like somebody, hey, I want to accomplish this and all that. I want to accomplish this, or I want to do this, and I'm like, okay, you don't have to give me an exact. You don't have to tell me exactly what you're gonna say, but paraphrase to me how you kind of want to say this. I know, obviously, you're playing, a satyr with 20 charisma. I know you're not a
22.
22.
22. Dang.
22. Okay,
Me
I know
and
you're
Rama
playing.
both have 22.
Marisol
charisma.
only got a 17.
Okay.
Dang. All right.
Yeah, I know you're playing to this player. I know you're playing a satyr with 22 charisma. I know you don't have 22 charisma in real life. I know you don't have the charisma of a cult leader.
Right.
But paraphrase to me, at least, the idea that you're trying to convey to this person.
Yeah.
And then roll.
What I do like about your table is if you do happen to role play it and it's something fun and cool, you generally give inspiration for doing stuff like that. So, and then we thought about bombing the army.
Yes.
In some way, shape, or form. We decided against it.
Yeah, because I think we decided that the army was too big for it to be effective.
Yeah, I imagine if I dropped my demon bomb right there, it wasn't going to do much. I would have just slaughtered it, right? When we say army, are we talking like
a battalion? What's a
like 1,000 dudes marching in step?
Well,
let's find
look.
out.
I imagine a couple hundred. What's the literal size of a battalion?
Battalion
size.
Strength. Strength of a battalion in an army is usually 650 to 800 with 15 to 20 officers.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
fair enough.
That's literally actually what I had in mind. That they're like marching file and rank and.
Oh, that's okay. I apologize. That's the Indian army. The American army is 1,000.
Okay.
So there we go.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about the Dragonborn?
Yeah. So we decided against antagonizing the army, even though we were invisible.
Yeah, we were invisible, and let's not waste a super cool item for like minimal effect. Let's save that for the future, for future use.
Hey, tabletop gamers. Thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.